The afternoon market buzzed with heat, noise, and restless footsteps. But inside the small repair shop squeezed between a bakery and a bookstore, life moved slower, like the world paused for anyone who stepped through its old wooden door. Aaron, a single dad with sleeves rolled past his elbows, and a stubborn honesty etched into every line of his face, wiped engine grease from his hands just as a bell chimed. He barely looked up. Customers came and went, but problems stayed. Today, his problem had a name he had spent years trying to forget. Mara, his ex-wife. Before he even saw her, he heard it. The high, sharp voice he knew too well, slicing across the street like a blade. "Aaron," she screamed, the pitch loud enough that a few heads turned, a few murmurs stirred, and a few phones came out to record what they thought might become something dramatic. Aaron closed his eyes, steadying his breath. She only came around when she wanted something or when she wanted to take something away. And this time, Aaron knew what she wanted. She had discovered he wasn't alone in the shop that morning. Alina, a calm-eyed woman with clever hands and a warm voice, stood near the counter, sorting receipts. She had been helping part-time, someone who wandered into his life gently, but somehow ended up feeling essential. Aaron had not planned for her to matter, but she did. The bell rang again as Mara stormed in. Rage wrapped around her like a trembling hurricane. "So this is where you hide," she spat. "Dragging our son into your pathetic life, letting strange women." "Mara, lower your voice," Aaron warned. But she didn't hear him. Didn't want to. Her accusations flew like sparks in a dry forest. People outside stopped walking. Shadows gathered around the windows. From somewhere near the bakery, someone whispered, "Is that the ex-wife?" It was becoming a scene, the kind Aaron spent his life avoiding for his son's sake. Alina stepped back, but her gaze stayed steady, concerned, not frightened. Aaron's heart tightened with both gratitude and guilt. He didn't want her dragged through the mess his past always made. Mara sneered toward Alina. "You think you can replace me? You think you can come in here?" "Enough." Aaron snapped louder this time, surprising even himself with the force in his voice. Silence cracked across the shop. Even outside, the crowd stilled. His hands trembled, not with fear, but with the exhaustion of years carrying arguments that never ended. Mara's eyes widened, shocked he had raised his voice. To her. She opened her mouth again, ready to pour out every ugly word she stored up, when suddenly the tension shifted. Alina stepped forward, slow but fearless. "Mara," she said gently. "No one is replacing anyone. We're just trying to live calmly, something it seems you don't want for any of us." Mara's face twisted, ready for another explosion. Aaron saw it coming, saw the panic forming in Alina's eyes, the storm vibrating in Mara's shoulders, and the crowd pressing closer for entertainment. He had to end this immediately before his son heard about it, before rumors spread, before Mara's rage swallowed the tiny piece he had rebuilt. He turned toward Alina, toward the only calm in the room, and did the one thing guaranteed to silence Mara, the crowd, and the chaos. He stepped closer to Alina and gently placed a steady, grounding hand on her shoulder. It wasn't passionate. It wasn't dramatic. Just a quiet, solid action filled with meaning. And then, with a soft, protective boldness he rarely showed, he leaned in and gave her a gentle, reassuring kiss. Not heated, not exaggerated, just certain. A kiss meant to speak the words he couldn't form in the noise. A kiss that said, "You're safe. I choose calm. I choose peace. I choose this." Mara froze, as if struck across the face by silence itself. The crowd outside gasped and went completely still. Alina looked stunned but not frightened. If anything, she looked like someone finally understood. Aaron didn't look at Mara, didn't look at the people filming. He just kept his forehead lightly against Alina's, breathing slowly, choosing stillness over chaos. Mara's voice died in her throat. For the first time in years, she didn't scream. She simply turned and walked out, the crowd parting in confused silence. When she was gone, Aaron exhaled shakily. Alina touched his arm, her voice a whisper meant only for him. That was brave. He didn't feel brave. He just felt tired. But for the first time, he also felt hopeful. The world outside slowly resumed moving. Unaware they had witnessed the moment a man finally chose peace over his past. And deep in the shop's quiet warmth, a new story began to form. For the rest of the day, the market hummed with gossip. The incident at Aaron's repair shop spread like wildfire. Voices twisting it, stretching it, turning it into stories Aaron didn't want his son hearing. He tried to ignore it, but even as he locked the shop late that evening, he could feel eyes lingering from across the street. People pretending not to stare, people whispering behind half-raised phones. The old Aaron would have ducked his head and hurried home, swallowing his frustration. But today's Aaron, worn, exhausted, but finally grounded, stood straight and breathed deeply. Alina lingered beside him as he pulled down the metal shutter, her presence soft like a winter candle. She didn't ask him why he did what he did. She didn't ask what it meant. She only said, "Are you okay?" That question struck deeper than Mara's shouting because no one had asked Aaron that in years. Not sincerely. Not without thinking about themselves first. Aaron brushed his hands against his jeans, unsure how to answer. "I had to stop her before she said something that would hurt everyone," he said. "Our son doesn't need more drama, and you didn't deserve any of it." Alina nodded slowly. "But that kiss," he rubbed the back of his neck, cheeks warming. "I'm sorry if it made you uncomfortable." "It didn't," she whispered. And with that one sentence, something inside Aaron unraveled, something knotted so tightly that he'd forgotten it could loosen. In the dimming glow of street lights, they walked toward the bus stop together. The world around them seemed strangely gentle, as if the chaos of earlier had exhausted even the wind. People still glanced at them, but Aaron didn't shrink this time. He didn't hide. Alina's presence beside him felt like a shield, made of quiet strength. When they reached the stop, she finally turned to him. "Mara is going to come back," Alina said carefully. "You know that. I know she won't let this go easily. She never does." A small silence settled heavy with unspoken fears. Then Alina reached out and lightly touched his hand. Not grabbing, not claiming, just connecting. "Whatever happens," she murmured, "you won today. You kept your dignity. You protected your son. And you didn't let your past control you." Aaron swallowed hard. Praise felt foreign, but coming from her, it brought warmth instead of doubt. "Alina, I didn't just kiss you to stop Myra," he admitted, her breath caught. "I know," she whispered. "But I'm glad you said it." They stood there a moment, the cold wind brushing past, two tired hearts learning how to breathe in sync. Then suddenly, footsteps, fast, familiar. Mara appeared again from the corner of the street, her face pale and trembling. But this time, there was no screaming, no accusations. She looked lost. "Aaron," she said quietly. "We need to talk." Alina stepped back, giving him space. Aaron nodded, stepping slightly forward. "What is it?" Myra twisted her hands, something vulnerable flickering in her eyes. "I messed up. I know I did. And I don't want our son seeing us like this. Can we handle this peacefully?" It took everything in Aaron to not let old wounds rise. "We can," he said softly. "As long as you don't bring chaos into his life." Mara nodded, surprising him. "I'm sorry," she said, words he had once begged to hear but never believed would come. And maybe she meant them, or maybe she didn't. But for the first time, she wasn't shouting them. She turned and left without another word, disappearing into the thickening night. Aaron exhaled shakily. Alina stepped up beside him again. "That was unexpected. Everything today was unexpected," he said with a tired smile. Alina chuckled softly. "Including the kiss, especially the kiss," she met his eyes gentle and warm. "Sometimes unexpected things save us." Aaron wasn't sure about being saved. But he knew one thing. Today changed the direction of